What is going on, YouTube? It is the first major NBA slate of the season tonight. We have 12 games on the agenda. Honestly, it's a ton to look through. So I don't fault you if you don't know what's going on tonight, because honestly, I don't even know what is going on tonight, but I do know enough to be able to find some good bets for you guys. Last night, we went 4-0 with our plays in the first two games of the season. Got a little bit lucky on the double overtime game, but hey, we take that when we get it. A win is a win at the end of the day, and it's money in our pockets. So before I get their plays for today, I just want to touch on a couple of housekeeping items first. If you want to join my free Discord server and be a great member of our community, that link is in the description below. And if you want to see all of my plays earlier on, I already posted these for the VIPs earlier. You'll have to join the VIP. That link is also in the description below. So a little bit on my strategy early on in the season. I'll probably touch on this, every video for the first week or so. I take things light early in the season. I take a wait and see approach with a lot of situations. I'm not going to place money on situations where I don't really know what's going to happen. So my plays early on in the season, it's usually a lot less volume. It's usually a lot of parlay fillers and alternate lines. And, some of these prize pick goblins are ones that I'll really focus on. And I think that's the best way to approach it early on in the season, at least until you get 3 or 4 games with each one of these teams to kind of understand, what the rotations are. You had a lot of players moving in the offseason, a lot of new starting lineups. You really need to figure things out before we start placing big money on these players. So before I get into plays, I'm just going to share with you, I am using Outlier.bet. This is the website that I use for all of my research every day. If you want a 7-day free trial to Outlier, that link is in the description below. And then one other touch point here. So the first 3 plays, they are just going to be PrizePicks and Underdog Fantasy only. Just the way it worked out tonight. I don't usually try to do it that way, but I really couldn't find a ton that I liked on all the other major sports books. So we have a couple obscure lines on PrizePicks and Underdog that I like, and we'll just focus on them first. But if you don't have an account with Underdog yet, sign up using the code LayTheHouseRM, and they'll give you a deposit bonus when you sign up. But then you'll be able to take advantage of this Trae Young under 12.5 first half points. Now, if I look at the last 10 games, it's kind of gross, but let's look at the full season last year and only look at home games for last year for Trae Young. He went under this number 76% of the time, 29 out of 38 games. Honestly, this was my favorite prop last year, just altogether. I'm stoked that we are getting this line again because it made us so much money. I basically bet this probably 90% of his games at home last year. Just a really good spot. And they also have Kristaps Porzingis on the team now, which I'm kind of bummed about because Porzingis was actually a guy I took the first half overs on way too often when he was on the Celtics, and it really paid for us. So you have a first half beast in Porzingis. You have a first half bust in Trae Young. Trae Young's a great player. He puts up really good numbers. He just doesn't do it in the first half generally. So that's why I love this Trae Young prop, and I will definitely be on it tonight in my slips on Underdog Fantasy. One other first half prop that I like tonight is James Harden over 17 first half PRA. James Harden on the road in the first half is actually a thing. He went over this number 64% of the time, but he pushed the number 5 times. So he really went over this number 75% of the time last season on the road. Now, the Clippers did make some additions. They added in Bradley Beal and John Collins, which does take away a little bit of usage for James Harden. But everyone knows the strip club narrative for James Harden, and I think it is valid, especially in Utah. He's always had historically really good games in Utah. So this first half over 17 PRA is one of my favorite plays tonight as well. And that's just PrizePicks and Underdog Fantasy too. And a third play, which is also just PrizePicks and Underdog, it's Brandon Miller over 15.5 field goal attempts. The guy just chucks. So if I filter for games with LaMelo Ball, because I need to include him in these games here because he shoots the ball a lot as well, Miller went over this number 16 out of 20 times last year. However, LaMelo Ball didn't play in the final preseason game, which means we might actually see 30 plus minutes for Brandon Miller tonight. In games where Miller had 30 or more minutes last year, he averaged 17.76 field goal attempts per game, going over this number in 15 out of 17 games when LaMelo Ball is active. Now, we're going to move over to the parlay fillers, green goblin plays, whatever you want to call them. Basically, I hit these a little bit over a 90% rate, and the way to play them is to parlay 3 or 4 of them together or grab one of them and combine it with the promos or some of these other straight bets that I just shared a minute ago. But the first one that I'm on is this Karl Anthony Towns over 8.5 rebounds. Line's been moving up throughout the day. That's because the Knicks are going to be without Mitchell Robinson. So if I filter for games without Mitchell Robinson last year for Cat, he went over this number 54 out of 58 times, averaging 13.21 rebounds per game. Filter it even further for home games, 26 out of 27 home games. I get it. Towns was on the injury report today. He was actually doubtful at one point, but it is very likely he plays. And they really don't have anyone else in the front court that can play. So Towns probably will still play like 30 plus minutes tonight, even with his injury designation. There is, a slim chance that he does get ruled out, which is totally fine. It just voids the slip anyways. But I do love this parlay filler for Towns. I'd probably only take it on PrizePicks too, since it's minus 440 on Hard Rock, on FanDuel, minus 600 on Hard Rock. And it's just a regular green goblin over on PrizePicks. The second goblin play, parlay filler, I like. You can play this one anywhere. Harrison Barnes over 5.5 points. Filtering for games without Jeremy Sohan, but with Wemby and Steven Castle, because those two are two high usage players. Barnes isn't a fun guy to bet. I'll be honest. He's a guy that you'll watch play. He'll stand in the corner half the time. He won't touch the ball. He doesn't do a lot. But this 5.5 number is too low even for him. He went over this number in 15 out of 16 games last year, with Sohan out, with Wemby in, and with Steven Castle in as well, averaging 11.25 points per game, only going under 8 one time out of those 16 games. So solid prop for Harrison Barnes there. And then my third parlay filler is Paolo Banchero over 2.5 assists. This was one of my favorite parlay fillers last year. Green Goblin plays, hitting at an 88% clip, 46 out of 52 games. Filtering down to games without Mo Wagner, it goes down to 87%, but if I go to home games, it goes back to the 88% there. 22 out of 25 games going over this 2.5 assist number. The Magic did make some moves. They have Desmond Bane in the starting lineup, so that might dock a little bit from the ball being in Banchero's hand all the time, but he was usually good for 4 or more assists in most games last year, so I think he can easily get us 3 assists tonight. And then the final play I am on, when my last parlay filler, is this Cade Cunningham over 34.5 PRA against the Bulls. He went over this number in 61 out of 76 games last year, 80% of the time. But I need to filter for games without Jaden Ivey, because Ivey's out tonight. So that turns into 42 out of 50 games. And if I go even further to just away games, it turns into 19 out of 22 games, averaging 42.68 PRA per game. He had 33 one time, 32 another time, and then really rarely under 38 or 39, a bunch in the 40s and 50s. He got the upside to smash this number. Probably the best parlay filler of the night, to be honest with you guys. Just because he's a high usage player, their starting lineup really didn't change too much. They added in Duncan Robinson, and she is a bit of an upgrade, but Cade Cunningham is an absolute stud, and I think he's going to get his season off of the right foot. And you don't need much for this parlay filler to hit or Green Goblin play at 34.5 PRA. So hopefully that gives you guys a bunch of plays to bet on tonight. Like I said before, join the free Discord server, be an active member in our community, post your slips, post your wins, post your losses, post your sweats, just be a good member in the community. And then last but definitely not least, best of luck on your plays tonight. Hopefully we can all win some cash.